Hello, how are you? I'm Matthew, and this is Truth from the Booth on Folked Up Radio. Thanks for making space for me and my guests on this Sunday, the first day of March. And yes, my Olympic withdrawal is subsiding. Today, we're shining a light on something every community depends on, the people working quietly to make sure no one goes hungry. Valley Food Bank has been doing exactly that since 1983. In a moment, Monica Grant, Executive Director, joins me by phone from Woodstock, New Brunswick, my hometown. Monica talks about the mission that drives the organization and the team of people behind the scenes helping guide the work. We'll hear about the promise that no one is refused on their first visit and why that message matters for families walking through the door during some of the hardest moments in their lives. We'll also dig into how they're feeding around 900 community members every month, managing the logistics of thousands of pounds of food and running programs like the school breakfast program and Operation Outreach. We'll talk about community initiatives like Brighter Days Boutique, volunteer opportunities, corporate partnerships, and grassroots efforts like the Canned Food Drive happening right now at Woodstock Baptist Church. And we'll discuss the real numbers behind the need, more than 61,000 pounds of food distributed in December alone. This conversation is about hunger relief, community responsibility, and the people making sure brighter days are still possible. My 40-minute, informative, uninterrupted conversation with my friend Monica Grant is next on Folked Up Radio. Halifax, Nova Scotia, home of talk radio, Truth from the Booth, an ongoing awareness campaign keeping Canada's housing crisis on the front burner and in the moment right here in the Halifax Regional Municipality, the Maritimes, and beyond. True, real-life stories told by those living it, existing in the streets. They bear all and provide you a brief glimpse into an unimaginable world of misery and disappointment, resilience, and triumph. Hear from those with boots on the ground advocating for change now. The stories of the unhoused need to be told by them to educate you, all of us. Hear all the conversations Sundays at 10 a.m. with a repeat at 6 p.m. here on folkedupradio.com. Now, back to today's fantastic guest. Monica, Valley Food Bank has been around since the early 1980s. You started work there in the fall of 2022. Coincidentally, same time I started documenting the unhoused here in Halifax. How did you find your way to the Valley Food Bank?
For me, I took a chance and just kind of applied. I had no idea what I was getting into when I decided to become the executive director of the Valley Food Bank. Going from a corporate world to a nonprofit is definitely a huge difference. And when I started in 2022 of August, we were in the middle of purchasing a new building. So on top of learning the new role, I built a brand new building of 28,000 square feet. So it's been a long 4.5 years, but it's been very rewarding. And with the Valley Food Bank as well, my life is based around their mission. So our mission for the Valley Food Bank is to alleviate hunger and provide nutrition support, guidance, food, information, and education while empowering our individuals and families to make positive changes in their lives. So with that being one of the very first things that I took on, we needed to figure out a few different things on how we could help our community even better. So we've always had a monthly outreach program that allows us to go to specific destinations in Nakiwik, Canterbury, and Meductic, as well as Heartland, Floresville, Centerville, and Bath. So we have specific areas that our truck will go to for the folks that really can't get to Woodstock, but they can manage to get to these areas. But over the last 2 years, we've been able to work with our community outreach ladies that are helping gather our data and stuff for our homelessness in the Western NB. So any folks that really still can't get to our truck, they will help us get some food to their houses as well. So we've been able to expand on that for the last couple of years, and that's helped our program grow greatly for that. Like when I first started, I'm going to pick on Floresville, for example, we used to have about 15 folks a month. We are now up to 33 folks a month that we do the outreach program in Floresville. So, and along with that, there was a couple of other programs that we really needed to concentrate on. We do a hub process for our breakfast program for 14 schools. So we work in association with our NB Feed in Moncton, and they gather all of the food that is needed for what the schools are ordering, and they bring it to certain hubs, and then we repack it and deliver it to our kids. So on top of that, we have families that access the food bank that does not necessarily access the breakfast program, even though it's there for them. So we have a snack pack program that we ensure that all of our school kids get a month's worth of snacks. And it's all stuff that they can open, that the parents don't have to open for them. So that can be their lunch. That can be, we put KD cups, rice cups, Mr. Noodles, cereal cups, granola bars, protein bars, all of that different stuff in it for them. So we have that program. Then on top of our homeless population and transient population that we know is going on within our Western Valley, and which I do work very closely with the outreach ladies and the town police. So on top of them doing their work, we decided here that we needed to help as well. So any folk that is living rough and doesn't have access to a kitchen or a place to be able to heat up what we would normally put in our food hamper, we do what we call an adult bag. So they can come every day to us and get a bag with food that'll get them through. Most of them make it stretch for their 3 meals, but it's usually like a lunch and a supper. So they get their bread, their meats, snacks, all of that stuff. And they can come to us every day. And then on Fridays, we make sure that they have enough for the weekends. So we started that for them. And right now we are serving around seven to 8 a week consistently every day. And then on top of that, we have a backpack program, which folks do get confused with what the schools do. But our backpack program is solely focused on our transients and our homeless. So it's a bag that is full of first aid kits, winter gear, and then we will switch over to summer gear. And then we have like just different snacks that's in the bag, and different hygiene products. And we have joined with the Woodstock Town Police on that, so they keep two of our backpacks in every cruiser that they have. And then the outreach ladies will come and get, we're up to about 15 to 20 backpacks a month that they're handing out to different transients that they see throughout their program. So that allows at least for them to have a good backpack as well, to be able to carry their belongings in, so that, folks don't realize, like, they're not carrying it in grocery bags and stuff, and they have something that they can keep stuff in. And we have, like, ponchos and sleeping bags and all of that stuff that they need. So with that program, that helps keep them going and steady. We do have a birthday program as well for our children. And then we also do a harm reduction program. So no, we're not giving out methadone, because that's always the big question of the day. But what it is we have stems and bowls and needles, which, diabetics, if they can't afford needles, they can certainly come here and get them. But it's also for, we're never going to stop addiction, and we can't fool ourselves that we will stop addiction. But I would rather them have clean equipment, so they're not sharing and getting, diseases or ODing. We have condoms. We really push our fentanyl test strips. Anybody that does come in and get a harm reduction bag, we ensure that they have test strips with it, because we all know that there's fentanyl going around and everything. So we do have that here. It's because it took a while to get the community to entrust us on that, but they have grabbed onto it and do entrust. So that, we're able to sleep a little bit better on that piece of it as well. So that is basically all of our programs that we do on top of our daily routines of making sure that we have hampers and everything ready for the group. We also started a thrift store that is open to the public, plus our clientele receive an allotted amount for their family quarterly. So they are able to come in and get free clothing and free houseware. And then it's open to our public because everything that is purchased within the Brighter Days boutique goes back to the Valley Food Bank to purchase the food that goes into our hampers. So
how can people donate to that, Monica? How can people get involved and donate with the Brighter Days boutique?
Yeah, we take everything except for large furniture. So I always say, like, no couches or no beds. But other than that, if you're cleaning out a closet and you don't know what to do with it, bring it to us. We take 5 bags or 5 boxes per day per trip, Monday to Thursday, 9 to 4:30, and Fridays, 9 to 3. And we welcome everything and anything. We actually just had a donation from a gentleman, and you'll remember this, Matt. When the sand store closed, there was a gentleman that bought the garment section and was planning on starting a thrift store. But he ended up having some health problems, and he's held on to this because we found out that it was 2005 when they closed the sand store. So he's held on to all these boxes for 25 years, or 20 years, I mean, and he just donated them to us. So we're able to put out, they're still on the sand hangers with the price tags.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic. So we will actually put it down lower than what is on there because none of our clothing is above usually $4.50. If there's a $7-8 mark on it, it is because it is brand new. But everything that we've got from this donation will probably go out like at $3 or $4. And it's just, I think the most fun that it's going to be is the folks that come in and see it and purchase it, is we'll get to hear all their stories from the sand store. So we're pretty excited about that part. But yeah, we started the store and we had no budget for anything. So it was all word of mouth, and the town has really, really grabbed onto it. I couldn't be more thankful for our town for that. We actually have folks that come to Woodstock every year in the summer from Ontario for summer vacation because they have family here, and they specifically make sure they come to our store.
Fantastic. I want to give you the opportunity, Monica. Everything that you do is just a tremendous amount of work. There's obviously a lot of people behind the scenes. According to your website, Valley Food Bank was established in 1983. There's currently 9 people at the helm. Can you just briefly talk about the people that you're surrounded by and what expertise they bring to the table?
I'm very fortunate for my team, and there's actually right now just 6 of us, which includes myself, and then our regular volunteers, which we have 3 days a week. But fortunately, most of the folks that I have hired and brought in has had, brings different perspectives. Some has been just very customer service oriented because that's what we do need here. Some have come to us through different programs that, they've had some rough times, and have come through to us for a program, and I've ended up hiring, and they've, brought that different aspect. Because I think one thing that a lot of folks don't understand is we don't just hand out a food box. We are also counselors. Not that any of us have a degree in it, but I make sure that the team has different courses. We are linked with our public health very closely.
Continuing education, would you say that there's always continuing education in the line of work that you do?
Oh, absolutely, always. Because when I decided to bring in the harm reduction program, everybody was a little offish on it, but we did a full course on it. We were all trained in the Narcan, all of that. And at least every 6 months, we try to bring in a public health resource that we are all trained in the suicide prevention. We have just different mental health courses that allows us to get through the day, because unfortunately we do deal with all kinds of different personalities here. We deal with people that have, like, their dignity does not want to be here, so we wipe a lot of tears. We have a lot of addicts that come through the doors, so you have to be able to keep them on a level that they're not going to, have a meltdown. We have a lot of women that have come out of battered households, so we have to make sure that, we're very discreet and confidential. So everybody that comes in here, including volunteers, I have to make sure are going to be able to handle all those ups and downs.
Because there has to be mechanisms in place for your own staff to, what they're dealing with every day. They need a place to vent and someone to talk to as well. So I'm glad that's in place.
Yeah.
Monica, I want to ask you the website. It says no one refused on the first visit. I know you're helping hundreds of people every month. How important is that message for someone that's walking through those doors for the first time?
That message is very, very, very important. It's in the past, there's been a lot of stigma around food banks, and that was one of the things that I wanted to ensure that our community was well aware of, that there is no stigmatization. You can have $0 in your bank account. You can have $50,000. We don't know what's going on inside everybody's household. So we are here to help our community and ensure that they are at least getting some food. We do work with some, try to get them on a budget, understand what's happening, because we do have to ensure that they also realize that we are only a 3 to 5 day emergency service. We're never going to be able to fill cupboards and fridges, but we are going to be able to ensure that you can get at least, our boxes will get you at least 3 good hearty meals.
Okay.
Sometimes 4.
I want to talk about community buy-in. And on your website, it seems at the moment that the Woodstock Baptist Church is having a fundraiser, canned noodles for a cause that's going till March 8th. They're looking to collect 3,000 cans. Just how important is it? Just, again, stress the importance of community involvement and the buy-in to make this work.
The buy-in is huge, and this is basically why I do a lot of this. Just to get the word out there, get the numbers out there. At the end of the month, I'm always posting our numbers, and to have the awareness and the importance of our community. And one thing that we always try to stress is we are not government funded. So there's one government grant that all food banks are able to apply to. And then the rest, we are based on the community. So it is making that partnerships, helping them understand what we do, bringing them in and giving them a tour, having them come and volunteer and just talk to the clientele. We're very fortunate for our churches. Baptist Church is always helping. All of our churches do. They have what they do in October. They started I Love Atlantic. So there's 5 churches that get involved in that. And we usually get around 10,000 pounds of food for that. With the Woodstock Baptist Church and their cans that they're doing, with the 3,000 cans that they are looking to get, that will get us through 6 months. Because we put one can pasta in our boxes, along with, there's other stuff that goes in, but we specifically want to make sure that there's a canned pasta in there. And we are reaching, this month, we have reached 520 households. So that's kind of a new high for us. This time last year, we served 397 households. So we're doubling. So with those partnerships and the community buy-in, we completely appreciate. whenever anybody needs me to be anywhere, to speak, to show numbers. That's one thing that I wanted to ensure when I started here. I'm a very number person. So numbers speak volume. And if folks don't understand what's actually happening, so when you hear that there's like 520 households, that equals out to be 992 folks that we have fed this month. So when folks hear that and hear that Woodstock Valley Food Bank, who, we serve from Nakawik to Riviera to Lachute, it is a very big area. It's a very royal area, but we still only have about 8,000 to 9,000 folks within that royal area. And that's, I think, a high number. So when you're feeding 1,000 of them that can't afford, like they're depending on us, because that's what it is now. We are classified emergency service, but we are an essential service now. So when you only have, that many people in your area and you're feeding 1,000 of them to ensure that they're getting at least 4 good meals, that hits home.
Let's talk about disruptions just for a bit. Like on your website, there have been times where you have had to close for extreme weather. How does that immediately impact your clients in that moment?
It will impact them because some of them can only get rides on certain days. We really do try not to close during weather. It has to be very, very severe for us to close. I think this year we've closed one day throughout the winter. The only time that we are fully shut down, and all food banks do it across the network, is everybody shuts down for at least 2 weeks after Christmas, or for the Christmas break, because by then we need a mental health break as well, and we have ensured that all of our clientele has Christmas dinner, complete Christmas dinner, and their boxes for the month. So nobody's going to go without food because everybody's allowed once a month visits unless there's certain circumstances. If somebody doesn't have a paycheck coming in, we will make the exception and feed them every 14 days. But all food banks are now down to once a month. So in Christmas time, everybody will have their once a month box. So it doesn't really impact our clientele that way. As far as, and most holidays do fall on either a Friday or a Monday, but they know that they can get here that Tuesday, and that's part of why we do the outreach program the way we do it as well. It always falls in the middle of the week, so there's never any holidays through the week. So that's, we try our best, but at the same time, I always have to think as well, I don't want a lot of them out on the roads if it's bad roads, because some of them just don't have the proper transportation to be out on bad roads.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to just kind of dig a little deeper into the Valley Food Bank website. There's a section that's titled Guidelines. And I'm just wondering if you can expand a little bit on what are the food eligibility guidelines, and then briefly just talk on the calendar of giving.
So basically for the food eligibility guidelines, there really isn't any. We do ask for folks to bring us some sort of ID to ensure that it is them, because unfortunately we do have people that steal IDs, and we don't always get to know all the faces and all the names. We try very hard. And if they come in with somebody else's ID, it goes into our system that shows that they were here. So when the real people come in, we're like, well, you're already here. So that's really the only guideline that we do ask for is some sort of ID. And if you can't make it and you're having somebody pick it up for you, just give me a call. You just got to give me your name and the name of the person coming to pick it up for you, because we do that a lot as well. Because there's some folks that are on house arrest, some folks that, just don't have a vehicle. And if the family member's already coming, they get them to pick it up, and that's not a big deal. So there really isn't a whole lot about the guidelines. The calendar of giving was actually something that they used to do years ago, and one of the churches and myself had talked about it, and we thought we'd kind of try it and start it up again. So we just tried to put in like different items that I know is better for different seasons. So in the wintertime, like, we like to have those hot, hearty meals. And in the summertime, we like to have those fresh community vegetables, which the Rose Garden has, is a nonprofit organization as well, where they have flower beds. And they actually have a couple of garden beds there for us. And this year they were able to link in with ANLB, who is a huge supporter of the food banks, and they were able to get a grant through them to be able to get us another couple of garden beds. So I think we're going to have 5 garden beds there this year that they will plant and harvest and look after and donate back to us. And as well, last year at the end of the season, so this year we'll be able to try it out better, but we joined forces with McCain Foods, and we now have a McCain's Garden Center out back of our food bank that they supplied all the materials. They came, they actually put it all in for us, and we planted the seeds. It was late in the year, so we didn't get a whole lot off it, but this year we'll be able to start it earlier. So that garden as well will enable us to give out the garden fresh vegetables to the clients, and it's also opened for the transients and the homeless. If they do hang out around here at night, they feel safe, they feel secure, and if they need to go in and they want to pick a cucumber, apple, we bought a couple of apple trees and we've got those planted. So there's always food around here at some point in time.
What's the ethical food banking code?
The ethical food banking code is basically that we will ensure that we have the best before dates by the guidelines of what the government guidelines that goes out, that we uphold the integrity of folks and the confidentiality of our clientele. There's not a soul that enters this building that's either on payroll or volunteerism that does not have to sign our ethical code of conduct to ensure the privacy of our folks. That is Valley Food Bank and Brighter Days Boutique. So if you're volunteering in the store and somebody comes in and you know them, and if you cannot discuss that. Anything that goes on within our warehouse, it cannot leave these walls. That is basically what our ethical food banking code is, and all food banks have to adhere to that.
Okay, interesting. You had mentioned earlier in the conversation that you like numbers. According to the website, statistics for December 2025, 514 households, 930 members, 61,150 pounds of food. The thing that struck me, the alarming number, was 44 new households. And you saying there is an increase of people walking through the door. So you are seeing it with your own eyes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This month we've done 34 new families.
Wow.
Yep, which was 63 folks. So every month, like January of 2026, we had 46 new families. This month is a little bit lower for new families, but we had just different situations with our regular families as well. So it's a growing need. I think it's a bigger concern than what some folks realize. With the rise of everything, the pays aren't rising. So, you can't expect a household that's working and living on minimum wage to be able to afford what's happening right now. You can't expect somebody that's on social assistance that, makes less than $900 a month to be able to live right now. It's not even physically possible. Do our governments need to understand that and sort some things out? Absolutely. And that is one thing that the food banks are advocating for as well. We, with our community outreach pilot project, they've engaged with 158 clients in the last 8 to 9 months of folks that are living rough. That's either living in their cars, living in tents, living in inadequate housing. And inadequate housing can be, you might have a roof over your head, but you've got no power, you've got no running water.
And you're dealing with rats or mice or cockroaches
exactly.
and bed bugs. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the girls did come across a 80-year-old lady that's living in a house that has partially burnt.
Wow.
She has nowhere to go.
My goodness.
And like that's the stuff that we're seeing every day. And it's just to get the community awareness out there that, rural communities are different than cities. Like Fredericton, Moncton, Nova Scotia, like you guys are St. John, like they're seeing it openly on the streets. Our community doesn't see it openly because
not yet.
royal.
Not yet.
Yeah. Like when you're in the business, but if you're not in the business, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And they know where to tuck themselves away.
Well, I'm glad that you made that point. I'm glad that you made that point, Monica, because you went to a recent session, the Community Conversation Homelessness in Western New Brunswick, releasing current data and statistics. This report that was, right up to the end of January. You went to this. I assume you went as a concerned citizen, but also as the executive director of the Valley Food Bank. What was your takeaway from that? Like, what was the audience participation? What was it like for you? I'm curious to know.
It was very, very community focused. I'm actually on the homeless committee as well with the Western Valley, so. I was there. I had 3 hats on that night.
Okay, all right.
But,
not surprising.
We were very, very impressed with the outcome. I think the Woodstock Theater, there was hardly any empty chairs, which was good because that means that our community is starting to want to be engaged and help with this issue. Everybody, I think, was shocked by the numbers of what our outreach ladies have worked with. Like I said, it's been 158 clients. On average, they're dealing with at least 7 interactions per day, and that's growing. So as of this week, they had taken on 14 new folks that are just living, and it's all different situations. Some of it could be, because they don't only just help with ensuring that, we're trying to get them homes, they're also helping them get their IDs, because we all know you have to have some sort of ID. So they deal with Service New Brunswick a lot. They deal with social development a lot to ensure that, they're getting checks, because sometimes they don't have a certain paperwork that's needed, so they'll ensure that they can get them that paperwork. They also ensure they were able to purchase 28 cell phones and give them out. For some folks, 8 phones was provided to some of their outreach guys for free. If you've got a battered lady that's just got out of a very domestic violence situation, they'll make sure they have a phone. If they're living within that and they're not willing to reach out to the sanctuary house yet, they make sure that they have a phone. If they're living in this burnt house like this lady is, she doesn't have power lines or a phone line. So they make sure that, she at least has a cell phone and can reach, the wireless data that way. They were able to deliver 86 clients to emergency services, which is the hospital, the police, jails, shelters. They're making very good partnerships within the community. They have folks donating to them as well. And again, we work very closely because they do ensure that the folks get the food that's needed that can't get to us. I'm very impressed with our community because we all know living in a rural community can mean some mindedness. But I think we're growing out of that now, and our community really, really wants to try and help, and they prove that by showing up Monday night. And we're hoping we'll have an even bigger crowd in March, just so we can get to the next stage of, okay, what is our plan? Here's our numbers, here's our statistics. And Louise Lockhart, who was our public health lady, nailed it. She said, like, we do need apartments. Mayor Jones has advised that we need at least 1,000 apartments, like now, to be able to help the folks that need, but you can't just show up 1,000 apartments. So, because unfortunately, to build an apartment right now, it's going to be $500,000, $250,000. So those folks need to actually charge more rent to be able to help pay that, and that's what our folks can't do right now. So we need to have community engagement that like the nonprofits need to be able to step in and say, okay, we're going to help you. We're going to try to raise some community money, get some grant money, get some apartments put up that the folks can afford. You can't throw a family right now into an apartment and charge them $2,000 a month, because they're never going to survive on anything else. We need old school prices of $700 to $800 to get these people back on their feet and help them. But not only do we have to worry about that piece of it, we also have to make sure that the folks that do need these apartments understand how to function in an apartment. And that's part of what our community engagement ladies are doing as well. You can throw anybody into an apartment, but do they know how to cook? Are they going to cause a fire because they don't know how to cook? Do they know how to budget? Do they know? So that also goes in with all of this creating more homes. You've got to make sure folks can function in a home as well.
I completely agree. No, I absolutely. Like, you just can't. There's a lot of hand holding. Like,
there is.
There's a lot of hand holding.
There's a lot of hands,
yes.
and that's part of what all of us are trying to do. That's why we try to pull in as many people as we can pull in on all of our committees, so that there's a different hat at the table that can help. We try to bring in as many living experience folks. You know, tell us what you need. Like when we were building our backpacks, that's one of the things that we reached out and asked. Okay, guys, you guys are using these backpacks. What do you want in them? And I can honestly say, when one of our ladies that reached out, who had lived rough for a very long time and was able to get back on her feet, said, put in coloring books, pens, pencils,
notebooks,
fidgets.
Yes.
Because it keeps our mind busy, so we're not always looking for that next.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
And I can honestly say I didn't think of that, because I was thinking food, warmth, water bottles, like all of that stuff. But we do now make sure that we have some sort of fidget in there. We always make sure there's a pad and a pencil. We have a list of emergency contacts that are in there. All of that. So just because I know for myself, especially having a grandbaby living at the house now, we do a lot of coloring. But it actually relaxes me after a week of high stress. I can just sit and kind of be numb and color, because you don't have to think about it. And that's really kind of my relaxation now. I have to thank my 4-year-old granddaughter for that, but when she says, you want to color me, Ma? I say absolutely. Because we all need that mental break.
Oh, absolutely. Jen and I, for my mental break, we play backgammon. Monica Grant, Executive Director of Valley Food Bank. Listen, I really appreciate your time. And again, we just kind of pulled back the curtain of the Valley Food Bank website. and just kind of explain what's going on. And I guess my advice to anyone who's thinking about forming a partnership or a corporate sponsor, just go have a visit and see what they're doing and what they continue to do, and just the community buy-in. And I'm really happy that there was a good turnout for this first session, and I'm glad that there's going to be a second one. And as far as input, you have to have input from those that are currently living the experience. And I find that those individuals who have lived it are the best source for the right information, but they're also the first to give back to the community because they've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I can't say enough about our community. If we put a shout out, we have it here. We work very closely with our Walmart, Sobeys, Superstores, Shoppers. They are very good advocates for us and help in any way that they can help. All of our churches, all of our community members, like, no matter how much people are struggling, because every household is struggling right now with everything, they still, whether they're coming in and purchasing at the boutique or they're just coming in and giving us, I always tell folks, one box of craft dinner is going to feed a child or a family. So, because some folks are like, this isn't a lot. It does not matter to me. One can of soup is going to get somebody fed.
Food is food, and food needs to be. Food only works when it's actually being, cooked and eaten. It doesn't do any good when it's sitting on the shelf. So, Monica, thank you for your time. Enjoy this first day of March, and we'll stay in touch. Just good luck with everything.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt, for the call.
The forecast across Atlantic Canada tonight is simple. Snow, wind, and temperatures dropping below zero. For most of us, that means a longer drive to work tomorrow, maybe 10 minutes with a shovel. But if you're sleeping outside in places like Halifax, St. John, or Charlottetown, the forecast isn't an inconvenience. It's a fight. Wind ripping through a tent like it's tissue paper, snow piling into a doorway you thought might hide you, wet socks, numb hands, a battery-dead phone. -10 doesn't sound like much on the radio until you're lying on frozen ground at 3 a.m, wondering if your toes will still move when the sun comes up. The weather report never says that part. It never says someone is curled up behind a dumpster trying to block the wind. It never says a person is walking all night just to stay warm. But that's the other forecast tonight across Atlantic Canada. Snow, wind, cold. And for the people without a roof over their head, survive the night. I'm Matthew. This is Truth from the Booth. Back to your Sunday soundtrack on Canada's #1 folk station, 99.9 FM Perth Andover, and folkedupradio.com.